The study of human anatomical variations reveals extraordinary phenomena that defy biological limits. This compilation presents 10 remarkable cases of individuals with supplementary or atypical body parts, illustrating the unexpected resilience and complexity of the human body. The 10 most surprising cases of births with supplementary body parts. Number 10, Jasmine Tridevil, the woman with 3 breasts. Jasmine Tridevil generated an intense media wave in 2014 when she publicly claimed to be the first woman in the world to possess a fully developed third breast, positioned between her 2 natural breasts. This case is exceptional because it claims an extreme form of polymastia, a complete breast including glandular tissues, potential lactiferous ducts, and a functional nipple, which distinguishes it from the frequent cases of polythelia, supernumerary nipples, which are generally minor vestigial structures. The announcement quickly polarized public opinion and the medical community, with many suspecting it was a fraud or a deliberate, complex cosmetic surgical intervention, possibly inspired by figures from popular culture. If her claim were true, this structure would represent an extremely rare biological aberration of supernumerary mammary development, involving atypical mechanisms of cell differentiation and embryonic migration along the milk line. Tridevil's story is a fascinating case study on how extreme anatomical claims are amplified and analyzed in the digital age, where the desire for sensation and the viral spread of information often takes precedence over the requirement for scientific and medical verification. Number 9, Shaolian, the frontal nasal transplantation. The case of Shaolian is cited as a milestone in the history of reconstructive surgery, illustrating an exceptional medical feat rather than a congenital anomaly. Following severe trauma that had destroyed his nose, surgeons had to resort to an extremely advanced technique to restore the lost facial structure. The chosen approach was the construction of a new nose in situ on his forehead, creating a temporary duplication of the organ before its transfer. This cutting-edge facial reconstruction procedure required the meticulous creation of a cartilaginous scaffold, most often harvested from the patient's ribs for biological compatibility, which was inserted under the skin of the forehead. The tissue was then carefully reshaped and vascularized over a prolonged period, often 9 months, to ensure the health and preparation of the flap. This complex process, called pedicled flap reconstruction, is considered the pinnacle of reparative surgery. The success of this graft allowed Shaolian to regain essential facial integrity and nasal functionality, transforming a traumatic disfigurement journey into a spectacular example of human resilience and the restorative capabilities of modern medicine. Number 8, Israel Larig, the man with an ear implanted on his arm. Israel Larig's case radically differs from congenital anomalies, falling within the domain of intentional body modification and artistic bioengineering. This Australian artist chose to have an ear surgically implanted on his forearm, a step that required a decade of negotiations to find a plastic surgeon willing to perform this highly experimental procedure. The intervention raises important ethical questions and illustrates the practical limits of self-modification. The ear was initially cultivated by inserting a scaffold under the arm skin, allowing the body's tissues to grow and integrate around the structure. Larig's goal goes beyond aesthetics. He aims to integrate an electronic system into the artificial organ, including a microphone and a Wi-Fi connection, thus transforming his arm into an extended auditory organ. According to him, this would allow him to capture the sounds of the world constantly, blurring the line between the biological body, performance art, and cybernetic technology. Number 7, Archit Ali Khan, the young man with a vestigial tail. Archit Ali Khan, a young Indian boy, was born with a vestigial caudal structure, a 17-centimeter tail extending from his lumbar region. This phenomenon is extremely rare in humans and often has deep cultural implications. In some regions of India, Such growths are sometimes interpreted as divine manifestations, leading to Khan's immediate elevation to a quasi-divine status within his community. Medically, this growth was confirmed as a true vestigial tail because it contained bony structures, rudimentary vertebrae, and connective tissues, distinguishing it from skin or fat growths. Although venerated, this appendage caused notable functional difficulties, affecting his walking and daily life. Finally, Khan made the decision to undergo surgery for its removal. This operation, while ending his exceptional religious status, allowed him to lead a more ordinary life, free from the physical constraints and social pressure associated with this rare spinal malformation. Number 6. Mark Wahlberg, the third nipple. The actor Mark Wahlberg played an unintentional but significant role in normalizing polythelia, or the presence of a third nipple, by publicizing his own condition. Polythelia is a minor and relatively common congenital anomaly, resulting from incomplete development or persistence of tissues along the embryonic mammary ridges, also called milk lines, which extend from the armpit area to the groin. Wahlberg's supernumerary nipple is generally described as small and discrete, often located on the lower chest, resembling more a mole or a small mark than a complete nipple. The actor's transparency about this anatomical variation, often revealed during television appearances, had a demystifying effect, highlighting the prevalence of this condition in a non-negligible part of the population, both male and female, without generally requiring medical treatment. This case illustrates how media coverage by a public figure can transform a minor anatomical variation into a generalized topic of conversation, thus contributing to the acceptance of body diversity. Number 5. Paragpasva, 8 limbs at the thorax level. Paragpasva is a documented case of extreme polymelia, born with 8 limbs attached to his thorax. Polymelia is a complex form of limb duplication, a major congenital anomaly resulting from significant disruptions in embryonic development. The community's reaction to this condition was typically split between religious veneration, sometimes seeing him as a divine reincarnation, and superstitious fear, illustrating the cultural challenges faced by individuals with such pronounced physical anomalies. It is crucial, from a scientific perspective, to note that this condition is recognized as purely pathological. At the age of 6, Parag underwent successful surgery to remove the superfluous limbs and restructure the thoracic area. The success of this operation allowed him to subsequently lead a life considered normal. His case testifies to the progress made in complex orthopedic surgery and the necessity of scientific education to counter supernatural interpretations of biological anomalies. Number 4. Edward Mordrake, the man with 2 faces. Edward Mordrake is a legendary and tragic figure from the 19th century, whose story, widely spread through literature and chronicles of the time, cemented his place as an archetype of craniofacial anomalies. It is reported that he was born with a case of partial facial duplication, manifested by a second face, described as rudimentary but expressive, located at the back of his skull. This phenomenon, often categorized as monstrosity by Victorian society, became notorious not only for the physical malformation itself, but especially for the extreme psychological distress it supposedly caused Mordrake. Accounts claim that Edward was tormented by this parasitic face, which he described as laughing or weeping independently of his own emotions, and worse, whispering devilish thoughts to him when he was alone, preventing him from finding rest or inner peace. Although modern attempts at rigorously authenticating the details of his life and eventual suicide are hindered by the sensationalist and folkloric nature of the sources, Mordrake's story symbolizes the potential gravity of partial duplications of vital structures and the societal and psychological challenges posed by such extreme variations in craniofacial embryonic development. His case remains a powerful illustration of the impact of physical anomalies on mental health and personal identity. Number 3. George Lippert, the man with 3 legs. George Lippert, whose notoriety was established in the curiosity show circuit in the mid-19th century, is memorable for the rare combination of bodily anomalies, notably the presence of 3 functional legs and, according to some historical reports, the partial or total duplication of his heart. At that time, individuals with major bodily duplications were often commercially exploited in cabinets of curiosities, with Lippert specifically nicknamed the only man on earth with 3 legs. His functional trimelia involved considerable biomechanical challenges for mobility. The mention of 2 hearts, if confirmed by rigorous medical evidence, would indicate an extremely rare form of cardiac duplication. Lippert's ability to navigate and perform, despite the physical burden and biomechanical complexity implied by his 3 limbs, testifies to exceptional bodily and muscular adaptation. His story, and his association with promoters like P.T. Barnum, highlights the historical dimension of the public exhibition of anatomical differences before medical advances, offered alternatives to improve the quality of life for affected individuals without resorting to exploitation. Number 2, Abby and Brittany Hensel, the famous dicephalic Siamese twins. Abby and Brittany Hensel are the most famous and well-documented dicephalic parotopagus Siamese twins in recent history. They share a single body, a single pelvis, and common lower vital organs, while possessing 2 distinct heads, 2 necks, 2 stomachs, and 2 separate nervous systems that cross at the spinal cord level. The complexity of their condition lies in the necessity for 2 distinct personalities to coordinate their wills and movements within a single bodily structure, a challenge they have successfully met with an impressive level of motor synchronization. Their parents' choice to forgo surgical separation due to the inherent fatal risk of the procedure allowed the twins to develop a codependent life. Their ability to perform tasks requiring perfect bilateral coordination, such as driving a car, where one twin controls the accelerator and the other the brake and steering, illustrates exceptional neuromotor adaptation in the face of their intimate and permanent physical union. Number 1, the Da Silva family. The Da Silva family is an eloquent example of hereditary polydactyly, characterized by the systematic presence of 6 fingers on the hands and 6 toes on the feet in all its members. Polydactyly is a genetic variation that, although relatively common in sporadic forms, is notable here for its stable transmission and complete penetrance within the family lineage. Contrary to the negative perceptions often associated with the anomaly, the Da Silva family deliberately chose to view this anatomical variation as an asset. They believe these supplementary appendages provide them with functional advantages in daily life and specific activities. Family members notably claimed that their 6 appendage hands and feet allowed them to be better goalies due to a larger gripping surface, and better musicians due to increased dexterity. This case is significant for its stable genetics and, especially, for the way a family can positively reinterpret a biological variation, transforming it into a source of pride and enhanced capability. Number 11. Unforeseen moment. In the consultation room of a London hospital, Johnny Burns stood upright, his immense hands brushing the floor like living roots. He was called the man with the largest hands in the world. Since childhood, they had grown without rule, without logic, defying known measurements and laws. Around him, scientists and specialists exchanged silent glances, scans, analyses, theories. Nothing fit, no diagnosis, no explanation. Johnny, for his part, smiled calmly. He had learned to live with the unknown. His heavy and powerful hands carried a mystery that even science has not yet found a name for to describe his condition, which is so striking and incomprehensible. To this day, Mr. Johnny Burns remains under the observation of doctors who are desperately seeking an answer. These 10 examples, ranging from subtle genetic variations to major structural duplications and bioengineering interventions, highlight the incredible plasticity and sometimes unexpected limits of human development. The exploration of these fascinating variations enriches our understanding of the possibilities and challenges posed by human biology, redefining our perception of anatomy and adaptation.